Chapter 2234, The Past Life 159-inch Changfeng. The ninth emperor looked at the young man in front of her and smiled. The smile warmed Nan Changfeng's heart, just looking at her improved his mood. This kind of pleasure was never there before knowing her. "I'm hungry," the ninth emperor said lazily, but there was a smile in those eyes. "So, let's go home." "Let's go home," Nan Changfeng smiled gently, raised his hand, and stroked the hair on the young girl's forehead. "All right. Let's go home. What do you want to eat today?" "Anything? As long as you cook it, I will eat it all, but it makes me wonder why Dongfang you and the girls are very dissatisfied with your cooking?" This was something that the ninth emperor had always wondered about. Obviously, Nan Changfeng was such a good cook, yet he still did not satisfy Dongfang Yu and Tian Xian. Nan Changfeng lowered his gaze, hiding the coldness in his eyes. Maybe they are too demanding. I can't do it to their satisfaction. He would never tell others that the one who cooked for Dongfang Yu and the girls these days was his snake. His cooking could only be tasted by the ninth emperor alone. As expected, after hearing this, the ninth emperor frowned. They are asking too much. This is not good. Nan Changfeng's cooking skills were already so good, better than many famous chefs, but it still could not satisfy those two girls. It made her a little dissatisfied. "Let's go. I'll teach these two girls a lesson for you when we get back." The ninth emperor patted Nan Changfeng's head. At this moment, Nan Changfeng was just like a well-behaved little puppy. His silver hair lifted in the wind, making him look more stunning. "All right." Nan Changfeng smiled. "Let's go back." Before leaving, the ninth emperor took one last look at the gate and finally turned around with Nan Changfeng, heading in the direction of their home. Dongfang Yu had long been at the door to greet her, but who knew that after the ninth emperor saw her coming, they did not even glance at her when stepping into the courtyard. Dongfang Yu froze. She turned her head, gazing dumbly at the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng walking together. "Dongfang Yu." Finally, the ninth emperor stopped and turned to Dongfang Yu behind her. "I heard that you are very unhappy with Changfeng." Dongfang Yu was speechless. When did this happen, and why did she not know about it? Me for extra chapters. You dislike the meals that he cooks. Are they not good? The taste is horrible, and only the ninth emperor can tolerate it. Wait, how did the ninth emperor know about this? She then turned to Nan Changfeng, bit her sleeve, and was on the verge of crying out. Vixen. Nan Changfeng was a vixen. He must have bewitched the ninth emperor. And now, the ninth emperor did not want them anymore. The ninth emperor would never question her like this before, let alone say such things to her. This was all because of Nan Changfeng. I don't want you guys to bully him in the future. After all, there are many of you, and he's just alone. After Dongfang Yu heard these words, she was aggrieved and wanted to cry even more. Who was bullying who? Nan Changfeng was not only a vixen, but he had also framed them. Ninth emperor, we never bullied him. Dongfang Yu's eyes teared up. She glared at Nan Changfeng fiercely and turned to the ninth emperor pitifully. She wanted to cry out to let people know what was in her heart. Chapter 2235, The Past Life 160. The ninth emperor's heart softened, and she finally turned to Dongfang Yu. Good. Besides, Changfeng's dishes are so delicious. Dongfang Yu froze. Ninth emperor, are you serious? Delicious? Why do I find it difficult to swallow? After saying that, the ninth emperor turned away with Nan Changfeng, leaving Dongfang Yu alone, staring dumbly at them, unable to return to her senses for a long time. It seemed that she could not figure out how unique the ninth emperor's taste was. Just because the person who cooked was Nan Changfeng, she felt that it was not bad? Dongfang Yu stepped into the dining room that she would never walk into and saw the person cooking for them was a snake. Only later did she understand that it was not the nine emperor's unique tastes but that a snake had deceived them. Yet, Nan Changfeng always stayed by the ninth emperor's side. Every time they secretly complained, that vixen always had something to retort, causing the ninth emperor to believe only him, never them. At night, the moonlight poured like water. The ninth emperor lay on the bed, frowning and her face a little pale. A young man slowly reached her bed and touched her eyebrow. Perhaps the young man's warm fingers made her relax. The young man sat quietly at the head of her bed, staring at her. He then moved closer toward her and closer. When the young man was close to the ninth emperor, the girl lying on the bed opened her eyes abruptly. Her eyes became stern, and in a flash, a punch almost landed on the young man's face. The young man dodged and fell to the ground. A few moments later, the bewilderment in the ninth emperor's eyes disappeared, and her eyes gradually lit up. She looked at the young man, frowning. How did you sneak in? Nan Changfeng would usually leave immediately after warming her bed. It was the first time he snuck in, which made her a bit stunned and dumbfounded for a while. Nan Changfeng smiled gently. I heard you call me, so I came to see you me for extra chapters. I called him. The ninth emperor's face instantly darkened. She just had a dream, but did she call out to Nan Changfeng? Why did she not remember it? The ninth emperor pursed her lips, her face slightly embarrassed. Maybe you heard wrong. You weren't in my dream just now. You weren't in my dream just now. Nan Changfeng's eyes turned cold, but soon the coldness disappeared, and his smile remained gentle like a spring breeze. Looking at this handsome face, the ninth emperor was stunned, and she gradually recalled the figure in her dream just now. The person in the dream was still a little different from Nan Changfeng. Even though they looked similar, the feeling was not quite the same. However, the ninth emperor somehow felt that Nan Changfeng and the one in the dream were the same people. Then, who did you dream about? He asked, constantly looking at the ninth emperor. I dreamed that soon after we died. The ninth emperor's heart ached a little as she thought of that dream. We met again in the afterlife. Chapter 2236, The Past Life 161. Unfortunately, even if they met, they did not know each other. The ninth emperor did not understand why Nan Changfeng appeared in her dream. Nan Changfeng was just a person who came to cook for her. Apart from being a bit good-looking and a bed warmer, there did not seem to be many advantages. Well, it seemed that this guy was quite powerful. However, to her, it was still a little too weak. Jiaoer, Nan Changfeng brushed the ninth emperor's hair, smiling. No, even if we do have an afterlife, I will recognize you. The ninth emperor blinked and looked up at Nan Changfeng. She frowned and quietly stared at the man's handsome face. Changfeng, you seem a little weird these few days. Nan Changfeng was stunned, lowered his gaze, and asked, why? You always stare at me and sneak into my room in the middle of the night. You said that I called your name, but if I did, there's no way I do not know. I would not do such a thing, so, she smirked, raised her hand, and patted Nan Changfeng's handsome face. Are you trying to sleep with me? Are you trying to sleep with me? These words made Nan Changfeng's fingers tremble, but his smile remained as gentle as the breeze. You think so? The ninth emperor pulled the young man closer, pinched his handsome face, and smiled. Unfortunately, you are still too young. I have no interest in you. If you want to sleep with me, then I will not be responsible. Many beautiful girls surrounded her. But to the handsome young man, she brought him back only to do chores. She did not have any other intention. Of course, only those who were as handsome as Nan Changfeng would be taken in. However, it seemed like there would be no one else as good-looking as him. Nan Changfeng leaned over and looked at the ninth emperor. The two of them were so close that they could even feel each other's breath. The young man's silver hair brushed against her face, tickling her a little, making her heart skip a beat. Me for extra chapters. The ninth emperor hurriedly pushed the young man away and stood up from the bed. She took her coat and draped it over her body. The moonlight poured in from the window and fell on her body, so beautiful, and it was even more stunning than the clear moon. The young man's gaze was always fixed upon the ninth emperor. It seemed that from the moment he met her, he only had eyes on her. There was no room for anything else. Jiaoer, whether we have an afterlife or not, I will still go to you. But I will never let that happen. We won't have an afterlife because this life will be forever. When a person's strength had reached a certain rank, that person not only could live forever but could also become immortal. Eternal life. This was the rank that many people wanted to reach. Therefore, he and she would not have an afterlife. They would stay in this life forever. The ninth emperor froze. She then looked up at the young man's face and smiled stunningly. Nan Changfeng stared at the ninth emperor, her smile quickly melted and softened his heart. Chapter 2237, The Past Life 162. Unfortunately, Nan Changfeng did not know that he would be separated from her in a few days and meet her again after 1,000 years. Why are you still here? The ninth emperor looked at the young man standing in front of her smilingly. It's late. You should leave now. It was already late. And it was time for her to sleep, so Nan Changfeng should leave. Do you want to stay here and sleep with me? The ninth emperor took a few steps closer to the young man and smirked. The young man's handsome face turned red. He put his fist to his lips and cleared his throat as a way to hide his pounding heart. The ninth emperor smiled. At this time, she was like a villain who molested a virtuous woman. But, the ninth emperor tilted her head. I'm a little sleepy. You can stay here, she smirked. But you need to sleep on the floor. Don't disturb me because I don't like to have people around when I'm resting. I want to sleep peacefully. She had always been used to being alone. Dongfang Yu and the others would never disturb her when she was sleeping. However, for some reason, facing Nan Changfeng, she always had no way to drive him out. Perhaps from the moment she brought Nan Changfeng back, many things were already destined. All right. Nan Changfeng smiled and brushed the ninth emperor's hair. I'll stay here with you? The ninth emperor was speechless. This was said as if she wanted him to stay. She shrugged and did not say anything more, went to bed, and fell asleep. She now could sleep peacefully. Perhaps having left behind what had been on her mind, she slept somewhat quietly. Meanwhile, Mui was always unable to sleep. He spent his day and night with wine, and he looked different from how he was before. He looked like someone who had lost all his spirit and was as messy as a beggar. The emperor's son-in-law's manor was also empty, leaving only him alone. Me for extra chapters. Mui was drunk, lying in the courtyard. He faced the moon, recalling that stunning figure. The figure that had made him obsessed for years. If you were still here, would none of this have happened, right? Little Nine is still our daughter. I can also treat her as my own, and there would be no Princess Qingluo, no Qingya. My mother would be an old lady who only makes a fuss, and it would not all have come down to such a state. He closed his eyes, tears flowing down his dirty face. Mui blocked his eyes with his hand as if he could make the tears stop. Unfortunately, his tears were like a spring, unable to stop flowing. A few moments later, he opened his eyes, and in his blurred vision, he saw the stunning woman approaching him. She smiled gently, making his heart soften. He stretched out his hand, wanting to pull that woman closer, but he could only feel the coldness. If there is an afterlife? I will never let you go again. His hand slowly fell and finally landed on the ground. He smiled as his eyes gradually closed. He knew that the figure was only his fantasy and that woman was long gone. Chapter 2238, The Past Life 163. Mui gradually closed his eyes and slowly died. Perhaps, he had long regretted his actions and gone to the woman to ask forgiveness. Or perhaps, he was ultimately upset, so he planned to go to her. His fist was still tightly clenched, holding the only thing left by that woman. It was a token that he had been guarding for so many years. The next day, the ninth emperor had just woken up when Dongfangyu hurried in. Initially, Dongfangyu was used to not knocking on the door before entering the ninth emperor's room. But this time, after she rushed in, she saw the young man lying on the ground. She was scared and took a few steps back. Her face turned pale. The ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng slept in the same room last night? The ninth emperor did not like people to serve her, let alone share a room with people. Dongfangyu wanted to cry. She had known the ninth emperor for so many years, but she had never been able to get so close to her. The ninth emperor looked at Dongfangyu blankly and asked, "Why did you rush in? What happened?" Hearing this, she finally came back to her senses and ignored Nan Changfeng in the room. She hurriedly spoke, "Ninth emperor, Mui is dead, Mui is dead." This news made the ninth emperor's heart tremble. She clenched the bedsheet tightly, and Nan Changfeng could feel that her breathing had changed slightly. The ninth emperor lowered her gaze, trembling. No matter what, Mui had not done anything to hurt her too badly. He was biased, and she did not blame him. After all, she was not his daughter. Mui abandoned her to defend his own daughter. Therefore, the ninth emperor had never resented him, but she did not like him, and she did not want to see him again in this life. Yet, now, hearing the news of Mui's death, her body still trembled. Me for extra chapters. After a second, she raised her gaze and looked at Dongfangyu at the door. Bury him. This was the last thing she could do for him. Dongfangyu was a little surprised. "Ninth emperor, are you still feeling soft-hearted toward Mui?" The ninth emperor smiled faintly. "I have never resented him, so why should I be soft-hearted? I don't want to meet him or deal with him, but he has raised me no matter what. Even if I have returned this favor, the gratitude remains." She did not want to deal with Mui, not only because of old lady Mu but also because of Qingluo and Mu Qingya. After all, Mui was already someone else's father, and she had no right to bother him. However, she also did not want others to offend her. So for Mu Qingya, she was not soft-hearted. "Go and bury him." The ninth emperor stretched her back. "I will not go to pay respect to him. You go and deal with it. But no need to report about this again later. I no longer have anything to do with Mui. There was no relationship before, and now that Mui was gone, that relationship was like it never existed before. So, asking Dongfangyu to bury him was more than enough." Chapter 2239, The Past Life 164. Alright. Dongfangyu was somewhat hesitant, but she did not say anything. After all, this was the ninth emperor's order, so she would never decline. Only when she thought of going to bury Mui on her own was she full of reluctance. She pouted, looking somewhat unwilling. The ninth emperor slowly got up, smiled, and looked at Dongfangyu. "After that, go and prepare our things. We are leaving in a few days." Dongfangyu froze for a moment and looked at the ninth emperor blankly. "Ninth emperor, have you found out about the whereabouts of your mother?" The ninth emperor lowered her gaze. She had only talked to Nan Changfeng about this matter before and did not tell Dongfangyu. Now it was expected that Dongfang Yu did not know. Therefore, she was silent for a while and shook her head. No need to look for the time being. No need to look for the time being? Dongfang Yu froze. No need to look for the time being? But why? She told me herself. The ninth emperor raised her gaze and smiled bitterly. She told me not to look for her. Even if we continue to look, there is no way to find her. So it is better to give up. Indeed, since this was what she said herself, it was useless even if she continued to look for her. She was not bound to meet her. Perhaps the day she gave up, her mother would appear and return to her again. Dongfang Yu pursed her lips and did not say more. She felt that the ninth emperor was very sad at the moment. She could feel it. Could it be that the ninth emperor's mother no longer existed in this world? Otherwise, with the ninth emperor's character, how could it be possible to give up? Dongfang Yu's heart ached. To them, the ninth emperor was not only a life-saving person, but she also took them in, gave them a home, and was also the most important person in their lives. Now, knowing that the ninth emperor's heart was in pain, she could not help but feel bad. Bury Mui first. Later, I will ask Tianxian to pack the clothes. It's time to leave. I guess the girls have also returned to Cloud Mountain. It had been a while since she went out, and she missed Cloud Mountain. In the past, she never wanted to return to Cloud Mountain as much as she did now. Perhaps every time she came out, she was hopeful and always thought she could find her mother if she looked for her. Me for extra chapters. Now, she knew she had no way to keep looking and wanted to return home, not wanting to stay out anymore. Alright, Dongfang Yu wanted to comfort the ninth emperor, but seeing the calmness that the ninth emperor deliberately showed, she finally did not say much. The ninth emperor had always been self-reliant, and she did not need anyone's comfort. Comfort, to her, was just humiliation. Therefore, Dongfang Yu turned and walked out. After she left, Nan Changfeng took out a cloak and draped it over the ninth emperor's shoulders to shield her from the cool autumn breeze. His hand tightly encircled ninth emperor's body from behind, and his chin gently rested on top of her head. If you want to keep looking, I can help you find her wherever she is. He could not bear to see her looking like this. Even if her face did not show anything, he could feel the hurt in her heart. She tried to hide her weakness so that she could act so calmly and indifferently after giving up on searching for her mother. Chapter 2240, The Past Life 165. The ninth emperor was stunned, but she did not push Nan Changfeng away. A smile appeared on her face. All right. Now she was only temporarily not looking for her, but she believed she would find her one day. Dongfang Yu buried Mu Yi and quickly returned to the ninth emperor's side. They packed up and planned to leave Fengyun Kingdom. The ninth emperor remained calm. Dongfang Yu looked at the courtyard heavy-heartedly. Before leaving, the ninth emperor also looked back and finally turned away. However, what the ninth emperor did not expect was to see a familiar figure from afar when they left. A man in a purple robe stood not far away. He smiled faintly as he stared at the ninth emperor in front of him. The ninth emperor's mood had been much better. Before, she had not allowed Di Ming to come close because she thought he was related to her mother's departure. Now, it seemed that Di Ming had indeed long known the truth, and he did not harm her mother. It was indeed her very own misunderstanding. So, gazing at the man standing not far away, she thought about it for a while before walking toward him. Di Ming, this time, I have to leave this place. Di Ming lowered his gaze. Never come back. Well, no. She smiled. There is no one left for me to miss here, so I will not come back. There's no one left for you to miss? What about me? Di Ming smiled bitterly. Perhaps from the beginning, the ninth emperor did not have him in mind. Or perhaps, it was always him who was making a fool of himself. Little Nine, if you had not left back then, or if I had followed you, would we have had a future? He looked at the ninth emperor unblinkingly. The ninth emperor froze as she subconsciously looked back at Nan Changfeng. She and Di Ming had known each other longer, and he had been with her longer. However, she did not rely on Di Ming as much as she did on Nan Changfeng. It was as if, by leaving Di Ming, she would not miss him too much, but she had no way to be separated from Nan Changfeng for too long. Maybe it was because Nan Changfeng was a good cook, that was why she could not leave him? Well, it must be so, me for extra chapters. Thinking of this, she turned to look at Di Ming and smiled. I must go now. You can come to Cloud Mountain to visit me, but I am out all year round. So, you may not be able to see me even if you go there. She would not stay for him, and even if he went to Cloud Mountain, he might not see her. Moreover, my Cloud Mountain is forbidden for men to enter. Forbidden for men to enter? Di Ming laughed as he looked up at Nan Changfeng. What about him? Is he not a man? Changfeng is different. The ninth emperor brushed his chin and smiled. He's a good cook, he can warm the bed, and he can say nice things. Warm the bed. These words were like needles, mercilessly stuck in Di Ming's heart, causing him pain. She said he could warm the bed. Have they? The thought of that heart-wrenching scene made his heart hurt even more. It was like a hand tightly gripping his neck, making it a little difficult for him to breathe. The girl he once thought was his had now become someone else's. He had lost her. After saying that, the ninth emperor left, never looking back at him again. Di Ming's body stiffened and turned to look at the ninth emperor's figure. He knew that after this farewell, he did not know when they could see each other. It was also possible that they never saw each other again. Before Nan Changfeng left, he looked at Di Ming provocatively with a shallow smile. The emotions that Di Ming was suppressing bubbled up in his chest as he glared at Nan Changfeng coldly. However, Di Ming also understood that he no longer had a chance. The ninth emperor would not allow him to appear by her side again. In this life, she would have no relationship with him. Di Ming slowly closed his eyes, until a short time later, he opened them determinedly. If we still have a chance, I will never let you leave my side again. He finally looked in the direction the ninth emperor left and eventually chose to turn around and leave. Not far away, the ninth emperor suddenly stopped in her tracks and looked back at Di Ming's fading figure. Nan Changfeng examined the ninth emperor's expression. He pursed his lips and asked, "You can't let him go?" A cold light flashed in his eyes. The ninth emperor shook her head. "After all, we have known each other for a long time. Of course, there is some reluctance, but it is better to end all this now." She did it for Di Ming's good. Since she did not like him, she would not give him any hope. It would only hurt Di Ming if she continued to get along with him as before. She did not want to see him in pain. Deep in Nan Changfeng's eyes, the cold aura gradually dispersed, and a smile grew on his face. "Don't you like him? It may be that we have known each other for a long time, so to me, he is just a friend. Now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, we are still as good friends as before, but," she shook her head and laughed. "He doesn't seem to want to be just friends. I can only distance myself from him." He wanted to be more than a friend, so the only way was not to be friends at all. Nan Changfeng frowned and looked at the ninth emperor in front of him. He then smiled. "What about me?" He moved closer to the ninth emperor. "If I wanted more, would you leave me too, me for extra chapters?" The ninth emperor blinked. Maybe. What she said was just a possibility, with slight uncertainty. However, these words made Nan Changfeng's heart sink. At this moment, the ninth emperor still did not know and was somewhat hesitant about her feelings. Only later, when she wanted to sleep with Nan Changfeng, they did not get to sleep. It also became her biggest regret. The young man wanted to sleep with her but did not dare, and she also wanted to sleep with him but did not get to. It was not until 1,000 years later that she achieved the long-cherished wish to sleep with him. This was also why the two people should have been determined together in this life and not fall in love until the next life. I will ask Dongfang Yu and the others to go back first. We must also hurry up and go. It is still a long way from Cloud Mountain. I miss Cloud Mountain. It was free and easy in Cloud Mountain. So much better than the world outside. Although those girls at home often gave her trouble, she was also willing to clean up the mess for them. She did not think those girls were much better before, but now that she had been away from them for so long and she missed them a little. Fine. Nan Changfeng smiled and brushed the ninth emperor's hair. His eyes were gentle. "I'll go home with you? I'll go home with you." Chapter 2242, The Past Life 167. Such words made her who heard it for the first time warm. She suddenly thought of Di Ming's lonely and sad figure just now and let out a soft sigh. Let's go, she and Di Ming. It was impossible to see each other again in the future. Nan Changfeng raised his hand and brushed the ninth emperor's hair gently. His gaze made the ninth emperor's heart warm. She turned around but did not look at the young man's eyes, afraid that she would fall for him deeply. The day was already late. Dongfang Yu and Tian Xian rushed back as well, all standing next to the ninth emperor. The others had probably gone back to Cloud Mountain, and now they were the only ones left, so the ninth emperor did not hesitate too much and walked ahead. Nan Changfeng walked beside the ninth emperor, and the other two followed her, and they all left. At this moment, in Cloud Mountain, it was the day of the triennial election again. The ninth emperor would choose some of the outsider girls to enter Cloud Mountain as her disciple. It happened once every 3 years, therefore, many people would send their girls to Cloud Mountain on this day. As long as the girl could get the ninth emperor's favor, the family would benefit from it. The ninth emperor was extremely discerning, and she chose her disciples not by talent, nor by looks, but by destiny. If that person were not destined, even a genius would not be accepted. All people knew that Cloud Mountain only accepted girls and not men. Therefore, some people thought that the ninth emperor was a man. If not for men to choose a wife, then what would it be for? Nowadays, Cloud Mountain was full of people, but they did not stay inside. They all chose to camp outside, waiting for the gate of Cloud Mountain to open. The ninth emperor came back just in time to see such a lively Cloud Mountain, and only after seeing these people was she somewhat dazed. I almost forgot. Today is the triennial election. This was the date she had set. Only recently she was too busy with too many things, so she had forgotten about it. The ninth emperor shrugged and walked toward the crowd. In an instant, everyone turned to the ninth emperor, and after seeing her stunningly beautiful face, some of the girls showed disdain. It was a bit difficult for the ninth emperor not to notice. Me for extra chapters. However, she ignored them as she slowly walked to the front. Standing next to her was a young man who was also handsome and beautiful. The vertical mark on his head made him look more stunning. It was really rare to meet such a beautiful young man. The girl standing next to him was such a good match. But why would a man appear on the day of the election in Cloud Mountain? Perhaps, this man wanted to seduce the ninth emperor with his beauty? It was not impossible. After all, too many people in this world wanted to get close to the ninth emperor. Whether they were men or women, they all wanted to enter Cloud Mountain. Thinking of this possibility, those girls looked at Nan Changfeng warily. Nan Changfeng frowned, his handsome face was cold and expressionless. He was handsome and beautiful, like an immortal, more beautiful than those girls present. Chapter 2243, The Past Life 168. Such a handsome young man would indeed make them worried. Those girls' gazes made Nan Changfeng a little comfortable. He leaned toward the ninth emperor's side, frowning. Ninth emperor, why do I feel that this group of people want to eat me alive? The ninth emperor looked at the girls, then looked at Nan Changfeng next to her. Maybe they like you and want to sleep with you? Nan Changfeng was speechless. No. What he felt was that those people were looking at him with eyes filled with hatred. Nan Changfeng seemed to have thought of something and turned to the ninth emperor. If there was a reason why those people were looking at him like that, it must be related to the ninth emperor. His cold face instantly sank. He glanced coldly at the group of girls who wanted to tear him apart and leaned close to the ninth emperor, seemingly proving his status. However, his gaze immediately softened when he looked at the ninth emperor. After all, the ninth emperor not only attracted men, even women were seduced by her. Men and women, both young and old, all loved her. Whether it was these girls or those in Cloud Mountain, they looked at him as if they were looking at a love rival. However, it also proved the ninth emperor's excellence. It proved that it was the right choice for him to go with her. Everyone's gaze followed the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng, and they saw that the two were about to step into Cloud Mountain. Cloud Mountain was full of formations, and there were many guards, so they could only wait outside, not daring to barge in recklessly. Anyone who broke in would end up miserable. These two people, as if they did not know anything, stepped into Cloud Mountain. Some people were just about to warn them but saw that the girl had already entered Cloud Mountain. It was all quiet inside Cloud Mountain. The silence was a little unbelievable. Everyone wanted to go in first. They hoped that if they could be good friends with those people inside Cloud Mountain, they might get the qualification to enter Cloud Mountain. However, no one could enter this place alone without someone to lead them. Yet, now, that girl and the young man next to her had entered Cloud Mountain. There was no formation to stop them. Nor did anyone from Cloud Mountain appear to stop her. Me for extra chapters. The crowd looked at each other, somewhat shocked. Why were they able to enter Cloud Mountain? That girl? She must be one of the ninth emperor's people, that's right. Other than someone from the ninth emperor's side, who else could enter Cloud Mountain like this? Not only did the formation not stop her, but even the people of Cloud Mountain didn't appear. A great opportunity appeared in front of me just now, but I didn't cherish it. If we had formed a good relationship with that girl, wouldn't we have been able to enter Cloud Mountain? Unfortunately, no matter how much one regretted it, it was already useless. For the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng had already disappeared in the direction of the mountain. The crowd's anger all dissipated at once. Earlier, they were still full of hostility toward the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng, but now, it seemed ridiculous. She was already a member of Cloud Mountain and not their rival. There were more chances to win if they could make a good deal with that girl. Such a good opportunity had been wasted. It was a bit heartbreaking, therefore, they could only rely on their ability to win the ninth emperor's heart. Chapter 2244, The Past Life 169. After the ninth emperor returned, the girls in Cloud Mountain greeted her happily. These girls were all dressed up in flowers, perhaps because they knew she would come back today. Those girls who usually did not wear much makeup were also lightly powdered and modestly greeted her. Ninth emperor, you're back? They smiled brightly. Their voices softened the ninth emperor's heart. She smiled and hugged the girls. She did not notice that the young man behind her was sulking. It seems that this place is not suitable for us. I've to find a way to leave. The day of the election is in a few days. The ninth emperor then remembered those people outside and pondered for a while. I will not be here for this year's election. You guys look after it. No matter how beautiful or ugly the appearance is, strong or smart, the people recruited must be courteous. Yes, ninth emperor, all the girls answered respectfully. The calm Cloud Mountain was once again lively because of her return. Only Nan Changfeng was ignored, and none of the girls looked at him. In their eyes, there was always the ninth emperor alone. Moreover, he had become their love rival. Dongfang Yu smirked. Before this, the ninth emperor was always with Nan Changfeng. Now, there were so many of them. It was impossible that they were still no match for him. With their presence, the ninth emperor would not go and meet Nan Changfeng again. Nan Changfeng looked calm but was frowning slightly. Before he left, he glanced at Dongfang Yu warningly. Dongfang Yu's face turned pale. She somehow felt that Nan Changfeng seemed a little scary. He did not seem to be angry, but with that look, it was still terrifying. Yet, no matter what, she was the ninth emperor's woman. With the ninth emperor's protection, even if Nan Changfeng was angry, there was no way he could hit her. Thinking of this, she felt a lot more at ease. A smile bloomed upon her face as she turned to leave. The election day was approaching, and Cloud Mountain became busy. More people had come to the mountain, waiting for the gate to open. Me for extra chapters. However, nothing had changed with the ninth emperor's life. The election seemed to have nothing to do with what she appeared to be. She spent her peaceful day with her flowers, herbs, and Nan Changfeng. Other than that, she had no other entertainment. The girls were busy during this time and did not come to disturb her. It was rare for Nan Changfeng to get along with her quietly without being disturbed by anyone. How is the election going? The ninth emperor lay lazily on the chair. Nan Changfeng sat next to her and handed her a grape with the skin and seeds removed. He then said calmly, "There's nothing to see. It's just a group of women. I, alone, am enough for you. There's no need to look at those people." The ninth emperor blinked, stood up from the chair, and pinched Nan Changfeng's cheek. "Have you gone to see them?" Nan Changfeng shook his head. "No. You are the best-looking person in this world. Ninth emperor, those people are not as beautiful as you, so there is no need to see them." Chapter 2245, The Past Life 170. The ninth emperor turned to Nan Changfeng blankly. She had a feeling that, after they returned, Nan Changfeng seemed to be different in some ways. She could not quite put the finger on what exactly. "Oh." The ninth emperor responded lazily. "But they will become my people later. I have to go to see them anyway. Let's go." She stretched her back and walked ahead. Nan Changfeng smiled faintly, slowly following the ninth emperor. He did not go to see those people, but he asked Qingzhu to follow them. Qingzhu had rejected anyone who looked even remotely pretty. With their looks, he was afraid his master would lose all the ninth emperor's attention. Qingzhu came out of Nan Changfeng's sleeves. Thinking about what it had done for Nan Changfeng recently, it was a bit stifled and aggrieved. Its master forced it to cook for those women and sent it to scare his love rival. Usually, it was women who would be worried about other beautiful girls attracting their men. But to its master, all the beautiful girls in the world were his love rivals. However, Qingzhu did not dare to expose its master. Nan Changfeng smiled and turned to the girl in front of him. The ninth emperor always wore her mask when appearing before the crowd. The mask on her face reflected the light, revealing her beautiful eyes. She looked so stunning that no one could ignore her. Everyone turned to her, somewhat stunned by her beauty. Even Dongfang Yu and the other girls could not move their gaze away from the ninth emperor. "Ninth emperor," her voice was respectful. "These are the last candidates left. As for whether they can stay, that still needs your approval." The ninth emperor responded indifferently, scanning those people. She did not know why she felt like the girls this year looked a bit ordinary. The girls stared at the ninth emperor with admiration in their eyes. Me for extra chapters. It's the ninth emperor. The person who inspires many people in this mainland. Many people try with all their might to meet the ninth emperor. Now they finally had the opportunity to stand in front of her. Even if they did not get to enter Cloud Mountain in the end, it was still worth it. Are they the candidates for this year? The ninth emperor turned to Dongfang Yu and asked curiously. Dongfang Yu nodded. There were still some, but I don't know why they had somehow disappeared. Maybe they didn't want to enter Cloud Mountain and left? Cloud Mountain was extremely difficult to enter, but to leave was very easy. So it was normal for them to go away. However, what made Dongfang Yu angry was that since these people wanted to leave, they should not have come in the first place. Even if they left, they should have, at least, told her. They simply did not take this matter seriously. Well, the ninth emperor smiled faintly. If you do not want to stay, no need to force yourself. I will leave it to you to decide. I only came to observe today. Dongfang Yu was dumbfounded. In the past, the ninth emperor had never been so cold in the selection. But why did she seem to not care this time? Chapter 2246, The Past Life 171. Dongfang Yu looked at the ninth emperor blankly before turning to Nan Changfeng on the side. Her face sank. It must be because of Nan Changfeng. Now with Nan Changfeng, the ninth emperor had even lost interest in the election. As expected, after the ninth emperor stretched her body, she stood up and turned to Nan Changfeng smilingly. Changfeng, I'm hungry. Nan Changfeng smiled. Let's go and have dinner first? Don't worry. Dongfang Yu and the others can take care of the things here. We don't need to care so much. She smiled and walked up to Nan Changfeng smilingly. In that very instant, all eyes fell on Nan Changfeng, jealousy filling their eyes. They were jealous that this young man could stand next to the ninth emperor, and the ninth emperor had even abandoned everyone for him. Was it possible that the ninth emperor was not interested in them anymore? So she preferred Nan Changfeng? This possibility appeared in everyone's mind, making their hearts sink. Some of them wanted to cry. There was no way to blame others but to blame themselves for not being men. After all, the ninth emperor was a woman. There were no men there before, so the ninth emperor gave all her attention to these girls. Now, there was a man, and she suddenly found that she liked men. Was that the reason she was not interested in this year's election? Could it be that in a few more years, she would only accept men and not women? Dongfang Yu and others could accept it because they knew that the ninth emperor was a woman. But outsiders did not know about this. Anger filled their hearts as they thought about it. However, the ninth emperor did not notice their rage. She felt a little hungry and left with Nan Changfeng. She did not even glance back at the others. The crowd was dumbfounded. But, looking at the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng together, it seemed like they were so compatible. Me for extra chapters. Just like a pair of immortal couples. As if only the two of them together could be so harmonious. If others were standing by her side, there was no such feeling. Dongfang Yu had experienced this feeling before. Back then in Fengyun Kingdom, Deming used to come to pester the ninth emperor, but he did not look like an excellent match to the ninth emperor when he was standing next to the ninth emperor. Maybe, Dongfang Yu sighed and smiled bitterly. We underestimated Nan Changfeng at the beginning. Previously, they had always thought that the ninth emperor was not interested in Nan Changfeng. Now, they found out that it was they who had underestimated this man, who was able to bewitch the ninth emperor to such an extent. However, although the ninth emperor had been with them for many years, women and men were ultimately not the same. So, it would be great if someone could accompany her. After thinking about it, Dongfang Yu's mood improved. Nan Changfeng seemed to be very good to the ninth emperor. Moreover, he was also strong and had no weaknesses. Even though he did not cook that well, there were no other shortcomings. However, did the ninth emperor like it? As long as she liked it, even the biggest flaws could become advantages. Dongfang Yu, Tianxian, and others looked at each other but did not say more and turned to the group of girls. They finally understood something after seeing the jealousy in the girls' eyes. Chapter 2247, The Past Life 172. These girls seemed to be so jealous because they thought the ninth emperor was a man. Such jealousy was not the same as theirs. Moreover, those who have that kind of thought for the ninth emperor should never stay. Otherwise, no one knew what would happen when they knew the ninth emperor was a girl. Later on, the ninth emperor had never bothered with the election. All the things were left to the girls of Cloud Mountain to accomplish. The girls of Cloud Mountain also knew the thoughts of these people who came. That group of people who had such thoughts, naturally, would not stay, or there was no guarantee that there would not be any chaos. Therefore, for this election, the people who could stay were only a few. That day, the ninth emperor sat in the pavilion. She vaguely saw a sneaky figure sneaking in. The figure did not look slim, wearing a white dress, and the hair was also done a little messy. After seeing this figure, the ninth emperor was quite interested as she looked unblinkingly at the woman who sneaked in. This woman did not know that a person was sitting in the pavilion. After all, it was a little far. With her eyesight, she could not see so far away. However, the ninth emperor had seen her. She sneaked in cautiously, step by step, and seemed to be investigating something. When she saw that no one noticed her, she gently sighed in relief and smiled. That smile was somewhat smug, as if she was mocking the security in Cloud Mountain. Being so weak that even she could sneak in unnoticed. It seemed that after knowing that there was no one here, the woman was no longer sneaking. She straightened her back and smiled proudly. However, she did not walk long before she stopped. She froze and was stunned. She saw a girl sitting in the pavilion, looking at her smilingly. The girl was so beautiful. Perhaps, there was no one there who was as stunning as that girl. She looked a little dumbfounded, blinking eyes. She was not able to come back to her senses for a long time. Me for extra chapters. This 9th Emperor is lucky. There's such a good-looking stunning girl in Cloud Mountain. With such a woman in, maybe the 9th Emperor will not think about the election, but why did the 9th Emperor not appreciate her? The 9th Emperor only thinks about selecting the next girls. However, thinking that she was discovered, this woman did not hesitate and turned around to flee. She had just fled 2 steps when a red figure fell from the sky and landed in front of her. She froze again, somewhat embarrassed, and she took a few steps back. She wanted to say something, but the words were caught in her throat. Do you believe me when I say I was just passing by? The woman smiled awkwardly as she looked at the 9th Emperor in front of her. The 9th Emperor smiled. Since you are just passing by, what are you doing sneaking around? Chapter 2248, The Past Life 173. The woman's smile stiffened. She lowered her gaze as if thinking of a way to escape from here. She thought about it and felt that there was nothing good to stay, so she turned around and just left. However, before she could walk away, someone pulled her back. The 9th Emperor dragged her to face her smilingly. Tell me, what exactly do you want to do, sneaking around here? The woman's face stiffened. She turned her head stiffly, and when she looked at the face that was so close, her breath grew heavy, and a flash of panic surged to her heart. Oh no. I just wanted to look around and didn't expect this to be discovered. I was curious. Just curious and wanted to come and take a look. The 9th Emperor frowned as she scanned the woman in front of her. Are you the one who came to participate in the election this year? The woman nodded desperately, blinking fast. That's right. I'm here to participate in the great election. Oh, the 9th Emperor stared at the person in front of her carefully. She did not know why, but she felt that there was something different about this woman. This girl's face, obviously very delicate and beautiful. But somehow, it looked so awkward. Suddenly, the 9th Emperor's gaze fell on the girl's throat and suddenly smiled. She tugged at the girl's clothes, tearing them apart. Ah! The girl screamed and hurriedly covered her chest, glaring at the 9th Emperor in shock. Are you a pervert? The 9th Emperor did not answer the girl's words and continued to pull her clothes, tearing them apart. Perhaps the 9th Emperor was too strong, for the girl tried to break free several times but failed. Her screams drew everyone over. Nan Changfeng rushed in and saw the 9th Emperor tearing at a girl's clothes. His face darkened. He was about to speak but had a second thought about it and turned his head away. The girl was wearing a little too much clothing, and only after the 9th Emperor had finished tearing did she see the girl's flat chest. Yes, flat, she smirked. The girl in front of her was stunned, ashamed, and annoyed, glaring at the 9th Emperor fiercely. Dongfang Yu and others were stunned, and some of them could not believe what they just saw. They were deceived, by a man? Me for extra chapters. Had this man actually disguised himself as a girl to enter Cloud Mountain to deceive them all? 9th Emperor, I'll deal with him. Dongfang Yu was raging with anger. Knowing that these people were all chosen by her, and now their territory was breached by a man, who had even sneaked into the courtyard, she would no longer have the courage to face the 9th Emperor in the future if this matter were not resolved. Nan Changfeng felt something strange about this situation. However, he did not turn his head because the 9th Emperor had torn the girl's clothes. He already had the 9th Emperor in this life. Looking at others was tantamount to insulting her. Dongfang Yu was furious and wanted to go forward but was stopped by Tianxian, who was next to her. Tianxian shook her head and turned to the man in front of her. She also wanted to know why this man sneaked into Cloud Mountain. Could he have wanted to harm the 9th Emperor? Chapter 2249, The Past Life 174. The man's face darkened, and he glared at the 9th Emperor fiercely. The 9th Emperor smirked as she looked at the man in front of her. What? Why are you wearing a dress? Do you want to sneak into Cloud Mountain? The man bit his lips. He was quite beautiful, so it was no wonder he could enter after wearing a dress. However, Cloud Mountain only accepted women, not men. In any case, he had offended the people of Cloud Mountain. Dongfang Yu and other girls could not wait to break this man into pieces. Nan Changfeng was enough. There would be no place for other men in the future. How could the girls tolerate this? 9th Emperor, I think we should beat this guy up and kick him out. This guy has evil intentions sneaking into Cloud Mountain. I think he is not a good person. A beating is still a light punishment. We first need to beat him until he is half paralyzed and then expel him. The women all stared at him viciously. The The man's eyes were filled with shame as he took a few steps back, seemingly thinking of some way to get out of the danger. The women in Cloud Mountain were all like demons. First, they tore his clothes in public, and now, they were using such cruel methods to punish him. If he had known that Cloud Mountain was full of such people, he would not have come. Tell me, the Ninth Emperor smiled. Why did you come here? Maybe, if you tell me, I can let you go? The man's eyes flickered, seemingly doubting the Ninth Emperor's words. The people of Cloud Mountain had always been honest. If he said it, maybe, he would be spared? I just came to pay my respects to the master. The man gritted his teeth and said. To worship the master? The Ninth Emperor looked at him suspiciously. That's right. The man raised his head. 3 years ago, I came here, wanting to enter Cloud Mountain to find the Ninth Emperor to worship. Who knew that Cloud Mountain does not accept men? They did not let me in, and they kicked me out. I thought since Cloud Mountain does not accept men, perhaps I could wear women's clothing and come again. But it's not that easy, and you guys found out quickly. Me for extra chapters. He looked so aggrieved that he wanted to cry, and there was resentment growing in his heart. Anyone who was torn up in public to check his identity would feel resentment, which was the same as stepping on his self-esteem. They made him embarrassed in public. You are here to pay respect to the master? The Ninth Emperor raised her eyebrows to look at the man. Cloud Mountain did not accept men, but that did not mean that they hated men. It was just that there were too many girls in Cloud Mountain. If she accepted men, she was afraid that the men would take advantage of her absence to molest her girls. So, that year, she thought twice before executing this rule. As for Nan Changfeng, he did not look like that kind of person, and Cloud Mountain needed him to do the chores. Of course, people like this, sneaking into Cloud Mountain, did not look like a good man. If you want to come and pay your respects, behave yourselves and stay in your rooms. What are you doing sneaking into my courtyard? The Ninth Emperor smiled. So, is there something else you haven't told us? The man's face turned pale. Chapter 2250, The Past Life 175. The man wanted to say something in defense, but there was no way to say it aloud. She was right. If he only wanted to worship the master, there was no need to be so sneaky. But, there were some things that he must keep his mouth shut about. Since you guys have found out, then do whatever you want with me. The man sneered and sat down, looking like he was ready to die. After all, it was me who wasn't careful enough to be found out by you. He now looked like he did not care much about how the Ninth Emperor and the others would punish him. And with such a posture, he made the Ninth Emperor frown, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. Tie him up, she said expressionlessly. The man panicked but tried not to show it. Since it had come to this point, he must remain calm in front of her. Dongfang Yu and others came forward and grabbed the man. This man looked the same as a woman. Slender and delicate but still handsome, it was a pity that such a good-looking person was a man. The Ninth Emperor sighed helplessly. Ninth Emperor, what do we do with him next? Dongfang Yu looked at the Ninth Emperor and asked. The Ninth Emperor stroked her chin and pondered for a while. Strip him naked and throw him out. The man's face changed dramatically. Is she really a woman? She's a nightmare. Wait. That girl just now seemed to call her Ninth Emperor? That instant, his face was frozen, somewhat in disbelief. He seemed shocked as he stared at the girl in front of him dumbfoundedly. This woman is the Ninth Emperor? Impossible. How can the Ninth Emperor be a girl? No, I don't believe it. The man's face was pale, trembling, and he no longer had the calmness he had pretended to have just now. It seemed that this truth was hard for him to believe for a while. The world said that the Ninth Emperor was a pervert, only wanting to recruit girls and not allowing men to enter. Me for extra chapters. Now, it seemed that the Ninth Emperor was just a girl. Sure enough, the rumors of the outside world could not be believed. When Dongfang Yu heard the Ninth Emperor's words, she was hesitant for a moment. Strip this guy naked? Are you sure? She pursed her lips and looked at the Ninth Emperor. Ninth Emperor, we are all your women. Making us strip a man is not quite appropriate. How about you ask Nan Changfeng to do it? Nan Changfeng's calm face shifted a little. He took a few steps toward the Ninth Emperor and glanced at the man sitting paralyzed on the ground coldly. He would never do such a thing. Tianxian, you do it, the Ninth Emperor ordered calmly. Tianxian hesitated after hearing this. Ninth Emperor, we do not need to force him out of the palace, right? Considering his purpose here? Oh, the Ninth Emperor said calmly. Isn't the purpose of his coming to peek at my face? Is it fine for him to sell pictures of my face for money? The man froze after hearing the Ninth Emperor's words. The world thought that the Ninth Emperor was a man and knew that she often embraced the beauty in her arms. So, he wanted to come to see the Ninth Emperor and those women. If he could draw the pictures, he could certainly earn a lot of money. Chapter 2251, The Past Life 176. However, who knew that all his plans had already been discovered? The man took a few steps back. I did have that intention, but you don't have to be so ruthless as to strip me naked and throw me out, right? What will happen to my reputation later? The ninth emperor smiled. You have dressed up as a girl. Why do you still care about your reputation? These words caused the man to be stunned and slightly embarrassed. However, what the ninth emperor said was indeed true. He had never thought about his reputation when he dressed up as a girl. It did not mean that he could accept being stripped naked and thrown out the door. Oh, by the way, those who were eliminated, they should not have left yet, right? The ninth emperor smiled and stroked her chin. We can prepare something to comfort them. This guy is handsome, so send him to them. The man's face was pale, staring at the ninth emperor in anger. The way he gazed at her, it was as if he could not wait to break her into pieces. Ninth emperor, don't you think you're going too far? What? The ninth emperor smiled. There are even more outrageous things I can do. Do you want to try it? For example, selling you to a brothel, or the kind of rich merchant who likes men. The man's face darkened. He felt that he could not restrain his anger if he stayed any longer. And if she changed her mind and sent him to someone else, such humiliation was more than he could afford. This time, consider myself unlucky to have fallen into your hands. But aren't you afraid that I'll go around proclaiming that the ninth emperor is a woman? No, I am not. The ninth emperor shrugged. It does not matter to me whether I am a man or a woman, and I have never said that I am a man. It is the world that has thought me a man. I can't do anything about it. If you go out there and spread this, you're just helping me with my identity. The man closed his mouth immediately. Tianxian had come forward. She ripped the man's clothes until not an inch of clothing was left for him. Just as the man's cloth was torn, a pair of hands had quickly closed the ninth emperor's eyes. The ninth emperor froze for a moment but did not resist. The man was so ashamed that he hurriedly covered his lower body with his hands for fear of being seen by this group of women. Tianxian stepped forward and grabbed the man's hair, carrying him like a chicken to the door. Only the ninth emperor and Nan Changfeng were left. Nan Changfeng turned to the ninth emperor and asked, "Do you think he looks good?" The ninth emperor blinked. As a woman, he is indeed good-looking, but it's a pity. Me for extra chapters. She gave a beat and continued. As a man, he was far from even being able to compare to Nan Changfeng's beauty. That was why she had said it was a bit of a pity. It was a pity that such a face was born on a man. However, many men will like him very much. The ninth emperor stroked her chin. Should I take him back and sell him? I can also earn some money. Nan Changfeng looked at the ninth emperor and asked, will the ninth emperor sell me too? These words made the ninth emperor freeze and look up at Nan Changfeng, staring at his handsome face carefully. A few moments later, she shook her head. No one can afford to buy you. Nan Changfeng's face was so stunning. She was afraid that no one could afford to buy him. Chapter 2252, The Past Life 177. It seemed that Nan Changfeng could only stay by her side for life. Nan Changfeng smiled as he walked toward the ninth emperor. No, someone can still afford it? The ninth emperor turned and looked at Nan Changfeng, blinking. Didn't you give yourself away for free? If you need me, I will come to your door for free. As long as you say it, I am your man. When he said this, he seemed so serious and did not look like he was joking. He looked so serious that the ninth emperor almost believed it. Fortunately, she quickly reacted and was not confused by this man. She raised her hand and patted Nan Changfeng's face, smiling. Are you not my man yet? Since you came to Cloud Mountain, there is no way for you to leave. Just like Dongfang Yu and the others, you can only stay here for the rest of your life. She would never let them go. Even if you drive me away, I will not leave. From the moment I met you, you are my loot. I will never let you go. Nan Changfeng caressed the woman's hair gently. His eyes shone brightly. That light was somewhat confusing. It made her heart skip a beat. The ninth emperor gritted her teeth. This guy is like a fox now. His immortal-like face and those stunning eyes? With just a look, it was enough to make people's hearts beat faster. She did not know why she chose to bring back Nan Changfeng at that time. Maybe he was too stunning, so she could not control herself? The ninth emperor thought about it and felt that she had fallen for this young man's face. Nan Changfeng. The ninth emperor took a few steps back, frowning. When you see me in the future, you'd better put on a veil. You look too beautiful and make me jealous. Nan Changfeng was speechless. Me for extra chapters. Your beauty is unmatched. Why should you be jealous of me? But you are a man. Can't I be jealous when you are beautiful to such an extent? The ninth emperor's heart beat faster. She restrained herself hard and continued, "Moreover, you do look more beautiful than a woman. Look at those women in Cloud Mountain, which one of them is not jealous of your beauty? What they are jealous of is, I am just a man." They were jealous of not his looks, they were just jealous that he was a man. The ninth emperor froze for a moment. Were they jealous of Nan Changfeng's gender? Was it hard to be a woman? Why did they want to change their sex? The ninth emperor quickly came back to her senses. Since the beauties have a need, I can't ignore it. So I'm going to learn how to make a spirit herb for sex change. If those people became men, would they not be more likely to pester the ninth emperor every day? In the future, the ninth emperor would no longer be his alone. Ninth emperor, they once said that Cloud Mountain did not need men. But you picked me up to cook and do chores for you. Since this is the case, if they change their sex, according to your rules, wouldn't they have to be driven off the mountain? The ninth emperor shook her head. Not really. I am only afraid that if there are more male disciples in Cloud Mountain, they will bully the girls. But if they become men themselves, they will not be afraid of being bullied. Chapter 2253, The Past Life 178. Nan Changfeng was stunned. He suddenly regretted his previous words. Surprisingly, if the ninth emperor really had the idea to change them into men, Nan Changfeng's eyes flashed, and he suddenly laughed out loud. But, if they become men, they will be more jealous of me. Even if they become men, they cannot compare to my beauty. It is better for them just to be women. At least, they still have some status. The ninth emperor froze and suddenly felt that Nan Changfeng's words made sense and nodded in agreement. Indeed, if they had become men, perhaps she would not have gone near them. After all, there was no one in this world that was more beautiful than Nan Changfeng. She raised her hand, patted Nan Changfeng's head, and said smilingly, "I'll listen to you. For the time being, I won't make them men unless they come to me themselves and say they want to be men." Hearing these words, Nan Changfeng finally felt relieved. Fortunately, the ninth emperor did not turn them into men. Otherwise, he was afraid that it would hurt him even more. The man was carried down the mountain. He was naked and full of shame and anger, but he could not fight and could not beat these people of Cloud Mountain, so he could only allow Tianxian to carry him down the mountain. On the way, many people stared at him in shock and dismay. It seemed that they did not understand why there was a man on Cloud Mountain. And why was this man carried down the mountain? When they arrived at the bottom of the mountain, those who had come to the election at Cloud Mountain were still there, and all gathered. Tianxian threw the man into the crowd and looked at the man with a smirk. "Later, if you want to get close to our ninth emperor, you need to change your ways. Amazingly, someone has tried to disguise himself as a girl. This time is just a warning to you. But next time, don't blame us for not being polite." After saying this, Tianxian turned around and left without even looking at the man, and soon disappeared. After Tianxian left, the eyes of those people all fell upon the man's body. The man looked feminine and beautiful, just like a little girl. Instead, people did not resist reaching out their hands and touching him. The man was furious as he glared at these people in front of him. "Go away. All of you get lost." Humiliation, anger, and hatred bubbled up in his chest. Me for extra chapters. He had never been humiliated like this before. And these people from Cloud Mountain. Sooner or later, he would make them pay the price. The man was very aggrieved. He wanted to cry. Initially, he planned to draw the ninth emperor naked to earn some money. But he did not expect to be discovered by her. Did he deserve to be humiliated just because he was a man? Was he not worthy of being pitied by her? The man trembled with anger. In front of him, the eyes of these people made him even angrier. He could not wait to kill all these people. However, he knew that he did not have that ability right now. Moreover, the ninth emperor's people had not gone far. If he were to kill anyone here, those people would come immediately, and then the one who would die would be him. Let's forget about it this time. He believed that the humiliation he suffered today would be paid for one day. They would pay him back 1,000 times over. Chapter 2254, The Past Life 179. The man looked viciously at these people in front of him. If not for the fact that this was Cloud Mountain, he would have already made his move. However, he could not do so. He just rushed forward and grabbed a man's clothes. The man screamed in shock with panic in his gaze. "Get away, you fucking pervert. I don't like men." People must have thought that he liked men, but it was not true. He just wanted to find someone to ask for help. The people around also froze for a moment when they saw that the man had been stripped of his clothes. The man merely draped his clothes to cover his body, then glared at the group of people in front of him viciously and left. He did not even look back. In this life, he had never been humiliated like this. This humiliation. He would remember it forever. However, this man did not think for a moment that the purpose of his coming to this cloud mountain was unacceptable. He wanted to draw the ninth emperor, and even more, he intended to draw her without clothes. He deserved what the ninth emperor had done to him. He had suffered such a price all because of what he had done. The man walked quickly and disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. However, among those present, some girls still stared unblinkingly in the direction of the man's disappearing figure, seemingly still seeing the scene of that moment in their minds. Of course, what was happening outside, the ninth emperor did not know it. The election had come to an end, and the number of girls left behind this time was too small. There were only 2 girls left. One of them looked beautiful and somewhat shy. She looked just like a red apple, making people want to nibble at her. Yes, it was a snake. A silver snake. Only the snake had taken on a human form. This snake looked stunning with beautiful long silver hair as smooth as silk. She was pretty enough to make the ninth emperor look at her a few more times. No doubt, for good-looking people, she always could not control her gaze. Me for extra chapters. After all, this was a habit she had always had. Especially that silver snake. Vaguely, she felt that there would be a lot of entanglement between them and an indefinable emotion. Ninth Emperor, this time, only these 2 people are left. What do you think? Where should we put them? Dongfang Yu turned to look at the ninth emperor and asked. The ninth emperor stroked her chin and smiled. Let's put them next to yours. That courtyard is just right for them to cultivate. There were finally some fresh young girls in Cloud Mountain. So she did not have to face the same people too often. It was also because of the ninth emperor's habit that the world misunderstood her, thinking that she was a man. Otherwise, the man would not have gone to the mountain just to paint her portrait with other women. The ninth emperor suddenly thought of the man who was left behind on the mountain. She paused and asked, "You guys haven't encountered anything lately, right? That bastard had not used his disguise to molest others, had he? If he did, she would definitely want to break that bastard into pieces. No one who dared to bully her could be forgiven." After thinking about it, the 2 girls finally shook their heads and said. The ninth emperor was relieved. After all, that guy was dressed as a woman. It was easy for him to do something nasty if he wanted to. Chapter 2255, The Past Life 180. Since you are all fine, Dongfang Yu, arrange the things for them. By the way, tell them the rules of Cloud Mountain. The ninth emperor spoke with a faint smile. Dongfang Yu respectfully replied, all right, the rules in Cloud Mountain were actually simple. That was, no men were allowed to be brought here, and no male disciples were allowed to be recruited. After all, there were too many girls in Cloud Mountain. The girls might be bullied by men when the ninth emperor was not home. That was why the ninth emperor did not allow any men to come, much less recruit male disciples. This was also a rule known to the entire Cloud Mountain. I'll go back to my room to rest first. I'll leave making the arrangements to you all. The ninth emperor left after saying these. He sent the 2 people elected to the other girls. The ninth emperor had always been lazy. Except for cultivating or going out to look for her mother, she usually slept on weekdays. Of course, she was not even looking for her mother anymore. She went back to the room to rest. The ninth emperor had a dream. In that dream, Nan Changfeng died in her arms. He was covered in blood and looked very weak. She did not know why, but when she saw Nan Changfeng's death, her heart felt like it had been gutted, and she lost all her will to live. This nightmare made the ninth emperor wake up from the dream, and she instantly rolled over and sat up. Her forehead was covered in a cold sweat. After all, this dream was too real. So real that there was a stabbing pain when she thought about it now. She raised her hand to wipe the cold sweat on her forehead and placed her hand on her heart. Her heart was still beating nonstop, and her whole body trembled. Why did she have such a dream? The young man in the dream had fallen into a pool of blood. It was so miserable and heartbreaking. This dream. Was it an omen of something? Perhaps the thought of Nan Changfeng's death had made her heart stung with pain. She clutched her dress tightly, and she did not realize how much strength she used. It wasn't until she felt the pain in her fingers that she came back to her senses, took a deep breath, and suppressed the grief in her heart. It's just a dream. How can a dream come true? Me for extra chapters. Moreover, she would never allow such a thing to happen. A flash of determination surged in her eyes. Nan Changfeng was her man. Since he had come to Cloud Mountain, he would be protected by her for life. No one could harm him. If someone wanted to hurt him, then she could only destroy that person first. The ninth emperor closed her eyes, trying to recall the face of the enemy in the dream. When she was in the dream, she could still see that person's face clearly, and it even felt somewhat familiar. No matter how she thought about it, that face. It was just a blur? So blurry that even with all her might, she could not remember what that person looked like. The Ninth Emperor knocked her hands hard on the head. She did not know why, but the feeling of unease was getting so intense that her heart felt like it was about to explode. Before having this dream, she was completely devoid of emotions. The dream brought on this uneasiness? She continued to close her eyes, trying to bring back the memory of the person in her dream. Whether the dream was real or not, if she thought of the person first, she could avoid what would happen in the future. Chapter 2256, The Past Life 181. She stroked her chest gently as her heart throbbed with pain. The door to the room was pushed open, and the young man anxiously entered the room, instantly reaching the bed, and pulling the Ninth Emperor into his arms. The Ninth Emperor's body stiffened. She slowly closed her eyes. As soon as she thought of the scene of Nan Changfeng falling in a pool of blood, she found it painfully hard to breathe. She clutched his sleeve tightly. "What happened to you just now?" "I was next to you and heard your voice." The young man's voice was gentle, and he looked down at the Ninth Emperor in his arms. The Ninth Emperor did not push him away. It seemed that she woke up after being awakened by a nightmare. "Don't worry. I just had a nightmare. It was just that the dream was too real." "So real that?" It was a little difficult for her to forget. Nan Changfeng, she raised her head and looked at the young man in front of her. "In the future, no matter what happens, you can't leave Cloud Mountain." That scene in her memory was not within Cloud Mountain. It was in some other place. That place was also vaguely familiar, but she could not seem to recall it. The young man nodded thoughtfully. "All right." Hearing this, the Ninth Emperor was relieved. As long as Nan Changfeng did not leave Cloud Mountain, then her dream would not come true. No matter what, she could not let anything happen to Nan Changfeng. This young man had long been a part of Cloud Mountain. He was also a very important person in her life. "Ninth Emperor, what dream did you have?" Nan Changfeng frowned and asked. The Ninth Emperor shook her head and laughed. "It's nothing. It was just a dream. The dreams are all opposite of what will happen." It was not known whether she was saying this to Nan Changfeng, or she was comforting herself. Even after saying these words, she had still not regained her composure, and the scene of Nan Changfeng falling in a pool of blood was still in her mind. The young man was a bit suspicious, feeling as if the Ninth Emperor was hiding something he did not know from him. The Ninth Emperor smiled and said, "It's true. If there is nothing else, you can go back to rest first. Ask Dongfang Yu to see me." The young man raised his hand and caressed the Ninth Emperor's head, smiling gently. The Ninth Emperor thought this young man's smile was like sunshine and could easily warm her heart. So, she did not dare to imagine that he might no longer be there someday. Me for extra chapters. After seeing that the Ninth Emperor was fine, the young man sighed in relief and left. Half a minute later, Dongfang Yu came and asked respectfully, "Ninth Emperor, are you looking for me?" The Ninth Emperor picked up a brush and a piece of paper from the side and drew a jade pendant on the paper. She handed this paper to Dongfang Yu. "Go and investigate this jade pendant. Find out who in this mainland owns this jade pendant." She had no way to recall that person in her dream. But the only thing she saw clearly was this jade pendant. This jade pendant was somewhat unique as it had a dragon head on it. The material was also costly and worth a lot of money. Not many people could own it. She must first find out the owner, and then from it, she could find the person in the dream. Initially, this was just a dream, so she did not need to care too much. However, she did not know why she was particularly concerned about this dream. She somehow felt that the dream would come true. Therefore, she had to find out the person in the dream. Dongfang Yu hesitated, but she did not ask anything more. "Yes, Ninth Emperor." Chapter 2257, The Past Life 182. When Dongfang Yu left, the Ninth Emperor still could not feel at ease. She pursed her lips, staring in the direction the little girl left for a long time. Perhaps after that nightmare, she felt restless and, therefore, had a hard time sleeping at night. She was only wearing a snow-colored tulle, transparent and thin, that did not block the wind. The night wind blew quite strong, revealing her thin snow-white legs. Nan Changfeng did not leave. He stood under the tree, watching her. The Ninth Emperor walked out the door and saw the young man not far away. The young man looked handsome, better than the clear moon in the sky, breathtakingly beautiful. He slowly walked to the Ninth Emperor, putting his coat on her body. "The night wind is quite strong. You might catch a cold if you dress like this." The Ninth Emperor smiled. "From my breakthrough to this rank, I fall sick so easily. As one reached a certain rank, one would be able to resist any disease. Only ordinary people would catch a cold, but for the ninth emperor, she had not felt the wind and cold for a long time. She only remembered when she was young and not feeling well, her mother would always look after her. Mother, the ninth emperor's heart sank once again. She lowered her gaze, hiding the helplessness in her eyes. Her mother was no longer on this mainland, and her mother even said that destiny would bring them together again. But, it was still hard for her to accept this fact. Whenever the night came, she always recalled that tenderness back then. Nan Changfeng, the ninth emperor, turned to the young man next to her. I no longer have a mother. Nan Changfeng looked at the ninth emperor in silence. I do not know where she has gone, but I know that I will not be able to see her again. The ninth emperor smiled bitterly. And I don't want anyone from Cloud Mountain to leave me. All the people in Cloud Mountain were important to her. She was willing to devote everything to protect them. However, the ninth emperor did not know that she could never see her mother again for many years. After being reborn in Huaxia, she grew up without a mother and only had a stepmother. After crossing over to Tsangyu mainland, she could not see Nailan Yen either. Me for extra chapters. Moreover, the ninth emperor did not expect that everyone in this Cloud Mountain would be buried here one day. Except for the silver snake? No one survived. If the ninth emperor knew about that today, her heart would hurt so bad it would be difficult to breathe. Did you have a nightmare? The young man looked at her concernedly. The ninth emperor smiled. She tugged at the young man's lapel and dragged him in front of her. Changfeng, can you sleep with me? Can you sleep with me? Her tone was light as if she was talking about an insignificant matter. Her smile warmed his heart. All right, Nan Changfeng smiled stunningly. This smile would not be erased from her memory for so many years. Chapter 2258, The Past Life 183. The ninth emperor let Nan Changfeng stay but did not allow him to share her bed. She asked Nan Changfeng to sleep on the floor. Perhaps because she had Nan Changfeng in the room, her heart eased a lot, and she could sleep peacefully. However, when she was sleeping, she suddenly felt someone lying next to her. This woke the ninth emperor. She opened her eyes, wanting to kick that person, but he reached over and pulled her into his arms. The young man's chest was so warm that it made the ninth emperor's heart beat faster. She had never felt this kind of feeling before. She raised her gaze and looked at the young man's face. He was so beautiful that nothing in this world could be compared to him. His features were somewhat seductive, and his long silver hair was like an immortal and a devil. At that moment, the ninth emperor could not help but place her hand on her chest, and she felt her heart beating wildly out of control. However, this feeling came and went very quickly. She quickly ignored it. She gazed blankly at the young man's perfect side profile and seemed to be thinking, how could there be men in this world who look so good and outperform those girls? Perhaps, no girls in this Cloud Mountain could be compared to him. This might also be the reason why she had chosen to let him stay in the first place. He looked pleasing to the eye. And perhaps because of his beauty, the ninth emperor did not kick him out of bed. Initially, she only appreciated his beauty. But she somehow suddenly became addicted to Nan Changfeng's beauty, and now she could not let him go. The changes made the ninth emperor a little frightened. She turned her body and wanted to avoid Nan Changfeng. However, Nan Changfeng pulled her hard into his arms and rolled over on top of her. The young man was so strong that the ninth emperor froze for a moment. When did Nan Changfeng have such strength? Why have I never known? The young man's eyes were closed, but for a moment, the ninth emperor could not tell if this guy was sleeping or had woken up. His long and slender fingers brushed over the ninth emperor's lips. His voice was as gentle as the wind. Jiaoer, he kept murmuring these words, me for extra chapters. Over and over again, calling her name, Changfeng, are you awake, or are you sleeping? The young man did not give her a chance to speak as he pressed his lips hard against hers. The ninth emperor's brain buzzed, her head went blank. She looked at the face in front of her, and she kicked the young man off the bed. When the teenage boy was kicked down, his fingers unintentionally touched her leg. He fell to the floor but was still asleep. It was as if he had not woken up just now but was only dreaming. The ninth emperor sighed in relief. It seems that Nan Changfeng has climbed into bed while dreaming and is having a dream that makes him act like that. Wait, why did he say my name in his dream? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.